questions are answered. Mondays have one, they're here for you. Joe the weed guy and Farmer Lou. Welcome to Cannabis Corner. So let's start the show.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We're also streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. Also streaming live video on Facebook and YouTube. Just go to your Facebook page, look us up, and hit see first to see and hear all the great programs that we have here on WNHE. HLP. And just a reminder that Cannabis Corner is streaming live also on the Greenhaven Media Facebook page and YouTube page, and also procannabismedia.com. So make sure you go over there, catch us there, like, share, subscribe, share the show, and we'll get it going here. Welcome. It is Monday, March 24th, 2025. Welcome to Cannabis Corner. I am your host, Joe the Weed Guy, Joe LaChance. And of course, now, for the first time in a long time, since we used to do the show from the studio, we are together. It is Farmer Lou right here with me, and we are broadcasting live today from the Nautilus Dispensary in the New Haven Woodbridge area, right off exit 59, for the first time ever. And this looks really great. Looks like this is something we may be doing more often. So we want to welcome you guys. Maybe next time we'll take a phone around and give you a little tour of the place. But it's great to be up here. Nice to be in this atmosphere right here with Lou. And we're going to have a great show today. Speaking of Nautilus, we had a couple of great events here last week, right?
We had some good things going on, Joe. We did. Kevnisha got to come by. I'm really excited to see you. Thank you very much for taking me up on hanging out here in the space. It brings us all back together from when we used to sit in the studio with Harry, you know? So
yeah, that's right.
Now that then it was COVID and it started to open up, and now that the world is starting to really get back into things and we have some spaces for us to do things, I think it's awesome. We're here. We're in the consultation room, so we're not out on the floor or anything. We're got to have our full privacy here in our consultation room.
Yeah.
And we're able to do the show together again, bro.
I like it. And as I'm going to get some more technology during the week. We'll have it.
Yeah, we'll set it
green screen up. We'll have it all good.
And then we can even have a guest here if we needed to.
Yeah, we could bring guests in person.
Yeah. So it's pretty awesome where technology has taken us. During the pandemic shutdown, whatever was going on there, we kept working because we were farming.
Right.
We kept working.
Yeah.
So we were still working, doing the thing. But it's pretty cool to be back around, Joe, and it's nice to be able to do this now from the shop. Kevnisha was here last week. She did some free counseling, and
I had a session with her. I had a counseling session with her. I got to tell you, she's very knowledgeable.
She's very
gave me some really good insight about how I could. It wasn't necessarily physical; it was more about a certain mentality that I could have towards my
things,
my illness. Let's say.
Right. Right. And it's nice to have those. We're trying to make sure to keep this pretty holistic. We got members of all.
Yeah, we got
Luna's Creations is coming from Bridgeport to do her CBD this coming Friday.
It's got, what Luna has is some great pet products.
Great pet products. They're all over the state. They're in different states as well. So really formulated to take care of them dogs. Just going on with that wolf canine namesake thing. They take care of it. They really do take care of it.
We have the dog treats here.
We have dog treats here, but at the same time, it's about making sure that they spread the education, get that community going.
That's right.
And kind of spread the knowledge of what they've been focusing on. And they're, we've always said we enjoy that they do different niche things. So they're doing things with the breweries.
Yeah.
You can kind of see them out and about in
matter of fact, they're doing something with the brewery on the 19th, right?
On the 19th, New England Brewery,
right here,
right next door.
Well, I think you'll be over there doing something.
I'm going to head over there as well, and it's supporting those neighbor businesses. Last week we were at the Clay Date.
Yeah, that's right. Then how did that go? You were over there.
We went over to the Clay Date. We had a great time. People were able to paint cannabis themed items. So there was like a beer stein that had a big pot leaf on it. There was a coffee mug. There were a couple pipes, one hitters, chillums, full size bongs. So, and then they glaze them, and then it becomes your own art
Yeah.
piece, which is really awesome.
And we sponsor. We gave some giveaways
We
there.
did some giveaways. We did a discount here. Just about everybody who picked up a bong or something over there came by and supported us over here as well. So really appreciative to the
And
Clay
so this
Dave.
is the neighborhood now. See, this is
is the
right in our
neighborhood.
neighborhood, the community, literally across the street. And this is a mainstream thing. Lou was over
Yeah.
there. It's amazing the organization they have there. They do candle making.
Yeah.
They also do the clay. You can not only paint and glaze
You can
already
hand
made things. You can make them.
They have wheels
The
to
wheels,
throw.
yeah, you can
They
make
have a
them.
glass melting thing
Yeah.
that they do. It's memberships. You go up there. So I thought it was really interesting to go up there and learn where you think it's just that front room, that little area, and then it's boom.
Yeah.
It's like an entire clubhouse. I was like, wow.
And I was surprised at the amount of cannabis themed items
Oh,
that
yeah.
they had there. So this shows that cannabis
Synergy.
making its way to the mainstream.
Yeah, well,
Mugs. They had all kinds ashtrays.
we
you
take
could
them
do.
and then we do our other neighbor, which we were just New England Brewery. They're doing their 419 because of Ganja Bot.
Right.
It's a terped out IPA that they make. It's a terped out beer, so it's got terpenes, and and that's why
Maybe
they're
make a
made like
non-alcoholic
that. Oh no, it's
version.
alcoholic, all right. That's
Oh,
definitely
I
above
talked
it.
to
But they
them
call
about
it Ganja Bot.
Joe the Weed Guy special non-alcoholic extra infused.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So it's not a cannabis drink, but it's a terped
They brew
out.
right over there,
They
right?
brew it right there. So it's all
You see?
synergistic, you know.
And then they got for 419. I know they got some Wolfie's going to be there. Education vendors.
Party, the whole thing.
I will be at the other party, but I
So,
know you'll
There'll
represent
be a couple.
Nautilus very well.
420s are lots of things going on. Then I can't wait to start
420 is
going through
Easter,
everything.
too.
It's Easter, but there's events at every location.
all over the place.
Burn and Learn is doing some things. I know that there's some things going down in Milford.
Yeah.
Bohemian High is always celebrating 420. All of our friends. I know that Megatron will be doing something over by their spot. So it's kind of that holiday that all of our friends are doing something, and we just either decide to do something on one of those days, or we go to
church.
We'll 100% give thanks for Easter and whatever religious, some people
It's a
celebrate
resurrection,
the
bro.
resurrection. Yep. Some people celebrate all different things, but at least this year, the Easter Bunny will definitely be getting high.
Yeah, that's right. And we
that'll
will
be one
we
high
will be
rabbit.
resurrecting and ascending into
We
heaven.
will be ascending. Lots of cannabis in the air.
That's right. But
'cause
you got to
it's our
make
day.
sure 420, it's
Enjoy
really
responsibly.
serendipitous that it's on Easter because we get to celebrate two great things
There you
in
go.
one
Joe.
day.
I love celebrating every day.
Yes. This just makes it a reason,
Yep.
an excuse more like maybe. But speaking of events, we have Wolfie and
Yep.
Denise coming in on Friday over here. This Monday, we have tonight actually. Canna Yoga is going to be over at the Burn and Learn and the Grove in Milford, and we already have about 10 or 12 people signed up. So it's going to be a cool event. And I don't know if you know about Canna Yoga. We've had Jillian on the show many times. She does a great. I sat through her last presentation. She does a great thing. It's a great workout. And you can consume, that's the thing about the Grove. You can consume inside. So it's not like you have to walk outside or hide in the back to consume. You can actually light up inside and enjoy, get medicated and do some yoga and relax. I make a special CBD tea that we serve there, and we got goodie bags with all kinds of swag in them and a couple of presents for you to enjoy your Canna Yoga a little bit better. So it's a good time, and we're going to be doing these things on Monday nights. They're going to be called Mindful Mondays. The next one will be April the 7th, which is another sound bowl healing. And if you haven't experienced the sound bowl healing, again, like it's at the Grove, so you can smoke a bowl and then do some sound bowls. But it's really intense. The vibrations that go through your body, you can literally feel it all vibrating. And I did the session there. You do a nice meditation with the sound bowls. It's very, very cool. And I felt 1,000 times better. So that's Monday the 7th. And then next week we have a sacred circle meditation with Uzma, who's actually going to be on the show today in a little bit. So we got that going on. So every Monday we're going to be doing something different. Then we got ecstatic dance. And then once a month on the last Friday, last Monday of every month, we do candy yoga. And candy yoga is tonight. So make sure you come down and check that out.
You know what I was just talking about as I had to step out, and so our pharmacist was like, "Did I hear you say karaoke?" And I'm like, "You know what? We haven't done karaoke. We might have
Karaoke.
Karaoke.
I kind of like karaoke.
we can definitely do a tune and a smoke or something. I think that's
we got a great venue, down there.
Karaoke. I think he's got a karaoke machine.
He does. He
does have a karaoke.
I think that's a great thing. I love to sing. We can sing some tunes. And all this could sponsor it.
We can do a drum circle that night too. We can do a little little musical thing there.
I founded the Grove, and
Yep.
we used to do comedy shows and music shows, and then the pandemic shut us down for a long period of time. And now that I'm back, I've been kind of encouraging Rich to do more events, and that's why we're doing these Mindful Mondays. We're talking about doing some clone drops over there. So I want to get the Grove down in Milford back popping because it's a great event. A great venue. What I like about it is you can smoke inside. It is indoor consumption friendly.
Yeah.
For him, no, he allows it, and the landlord allows it.
Oh yeah,
and as long as they allow it,
it's allowed. I'm cool with it. I'm with it all the time. Trust me, I'm not anti any of that. So yeah. You know me. I like to just keep things on the DL versus.
Well, these are special events. These are different.
And I think we all do everything with moderation. I don't think that there's been a crowd there that has gone too crazy.
No, we don't serve alcohol.
Right, and there's no alcohol, of course.
We all know where the problems come.
Yeah.
It's just from alcohol.
And plus, the events are awesome. I think that the bohemian nature of the events lends very well to the whole theme of everything.
Exactly.
Some drums. There you go, man. The Grove is groovy.
You go that tie-dyed stuff in the store, and the pipes, and you can get all kinds of great accessories in there.
And it's a good life. Other than just cannabis, there's tarot cards, alternative culture, all subcultures,
all kinds of stuff in
all
there.
Subcultures.
And he does events in the parking lot next door, and he's doing one on 426. I will be there as the host. Got a couple good bands. Instead of 420, since everyone else was doing it, we moved it the next week.
That's right. And
that's going to be a nice outdoor event. Yeah.
And that's because that parking lot is awesome.
You're right on the post road.
Puts the stage up there. The backdrop is beautiful across the building.
Yeah.
The parking lot is closed out. There's a lot of off-street area for everybody now to hang out, and it doesn't take away from too much.
Yeah.
What is there? Maybe 15 spots and 10 spots in that parking lot. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, and they close it off so it's empty.
Yeah, and it doesn't make the streets too clogged either.
No.
And you just go down. Parking is usually pretty easy. Street parking.
Yeah,
and you enjoy the music for
there's
free.
There's a big parking lot in the back of it.
That's right, in the big parking lot in the back. And then realistically, the music's always great. It's always a great mix of jam bands and different.
And then the Hair of the Dog next door does food specials.
Yep. Hair of the Dog is another brewery that's always been friendly to all of us. So we like
friendly
them.
With Burn and Learn.
We love them a lot. So
it's all good stuff. So a lot of things are happening in the community. I'm looking forward to the spring. Couple things I'm not happy about, Lou. I just want to touch them real quick.
You have to, Joe.
It's what's going on in the legislative building up there in Hartford.
Yeah.
They are really, they really got their heads up their butt.
They're really trying hard to recriminalize some of the aspects that were so important to legalization of cannabis.
Yeah, there was one thing that we specifically made sure was in the bill was that the smell of cannabis was not a determining factor in being able to pull somebody over or search them.
Right.
And it was very important that we got that into the bill. We fought for that.
Yep.
And here they are 4 years, 5 years later, trying to change it around and And you
Joe,
now
it's
have,
not even changing around. It's a straight out strickning of it.
yeah, strickening of that whole,
Completely strickening of it, where they're replacing it with um, the smell of cannabis is allowed as a determining factor to
search,
search.
or
So,
pull over, or whatever.
well, and that's the hardest thing because even not pulled over, Joe.
No, you could be
This
walking
opens-
down the street
This opens the right,
and smell, it's almost stop and frisk
right.
in a different way. And
Well, Joe, I'll share a story with you just because this is so personal to me.
yeah,
The reason they said they got the warrant to search my house was because they smelt the smell of unburnt cannabis
growing.
emanating from my basement, from a basement window. So A, they would have had to cross onto my property to find
Well,
that
somebody
smell.
complained.
No, the police officer. So I had dogs at the time. This was 8 to 10 years ago. My dogs were going crazy going around the yard, and I was like, I almost let them out. If I would have let them out, my dogs would have been attacking a police officer just for me not knowing
Knowing that who was there. Yeah.
because they had crossed into our yard, into the yard, and they were poking around my basement.
Wow.
So they weren't supposed to. So that's all
That's part of why you were able to work it the way you worked.
No, I got convicted completely because
did? Okay.
yeah, I got convicted.
You didn't go to
completely.
jail. So
I didn't fight that, but so they arrested my wife at the time.
right. See,
And
that's
they held
where they
my
got
wife
you.
and kids
That's where they got you.
as a bargaining chip. It was take this
Or
or
we take this.
we take them.
Yeah. We're gonna prosecute your
So,
wife. Yeah, and you don't want that.
Yeah, so and that's the problem with the idea of a smell because not only can it take you from some place of no real craziness because it wasn't,
Illegal.
it was an illegal
It was
search because they
protected,
would have,
actually.
and if I would have able to fight it, it would have been one thing, but they put your family and your kids, that's why they take everybody that's around. And so remaking that a cause for a search is a huge issue.
Yeah.
And it's a hard fight to fight because of the people supporting it.
Yes, and they have power, and unfortunately, it did pass the General Law
The
Committee.
General Law Committee,
which
so it'll go for a
means It's
vote.
gonna go for a vote, and we
Right.
know what's gonna happen, so be prepared, people. You better carry some deodorant with you, or Cushly.
Cushly, I
Put on you,
would 100%.
put some Cushly. They have the little portable ones. Keep one in your car. Keep one in your pocket.
Yep.
Spray yourself after you smoke, because these guys, and Luke made up a good point. Realistically, the cops want their power back, and that's
Yeah.
what it comes down to. The
They
cops.
felt like they lost the power.
Yep.
They felt like they lost a tool to make up things for a lot of other things.
Yes.
You want to talk about a gateway drug?
Yep.
It was a gateway for them to come after us, realistically. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It
They
was
lost
easy.
that door that they could open. Well, it smelled like marijuana, so I searched the car.
Right.
If it never smelled like marijuana, or if marijuana is not a determining factor, what is the next one?
Right.
Oh, the car smelled like alcohol,
They do that.
which they do.
Yeah.
So now it throws more and more into that. So it's tough. But Joe, it looks like
We got our
guests
guests here. Maybe they have some input on this, but there's another law up there we'll talk about. But anyway, I'm going to be going on the air with Chaz and AJ this week to discuss what is going
Yeah.
on up there, especially with this bill and the other bills. There's 3 bills that I'm very concerned about. And we're going to talk about that on the air in Chaz and AJ so the mainstream people know what the hell's going on, because this affects everybody.
This affects literally
Everybody who smokes weed. It
or
affects
works in a
them.
facility or works in a
Right.
hemp facility, might work in a day spa. Anybody who might be around, and everybody partakes in the plant. It can
And-
be, it just opens up to everybody.
And a lot of people don't realize, you may not think you smell like weed, but if somebody who doesn't smoke it definitely comes off stronger to them.
I
They're
always smell
more-
like weed.
I always smell like weed, and I don't even realize it. But if there are people,
Oh,
who
yeah.
they will smell like weed.
Yeah.
But obviously the people we hang around with, they don't do that. But when you're going out in public, yeah. So you got to watch that stuff
Joe,
now.
apparently this place smells like weed.
Well, it should, right? Imagine one of the workers
Yeah.
going in there all day getting that product.
Yep.
The pharmacist comes and leaves smells like
Yep.
weed. She gets pulled over. She's a freaking pharmacist.
Yep. Who didn't have any cannabis all day.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But because they smell like it, it opens them up for that illegal
Yeah,
search.
so we got to really Stay on top of this, people. This affects everybody. This is not just an activist thing or an advocate. This is everybody who
This is everybody,
consumes cannabis
literally anybody.
or is around it.
Yeah.
So looks like we got some of our guests in here
All
today.
right.
So I wanted to bring on Leslie Wharton, and Leslie and Ted are both on the show with us. And I wanted to bring on, they're doing a great event on this Saturday. And it's something that really intrigued me when I heard about it, because it was important that we this is another thing of where the mainstream is embracing cannabis. So we met Leslie. I'm sorry, Leslie. We met Leslie at the Expo Canna, and she was explaining to us what they were doing. So she is the president of the Watertown Garden Club. And because medical marijuana patients under 18 years and older are now able to grow up to 3 mature and 3 immature plants in their home with a cap of 12 total plants per household, the plants must be grown indoors and must not be visible from the street. In light of the above law, the Watertown Garden Club is offering a symposium on homegrown medical and adult use cannabis as a public service. And this is what intrigued me about it. This is a garden club. People who are normally used to growing flowers and maybe some vegetables. Now that cannabis is legal, this group has decided to get together and embrace cannabis as another aspect of their garden club. And I thought that was so awesome that I wanted to bring Leslie and Ted and Uzma on to talk about, this great event. What spurred them on to do this? That was the biggest thing to me, like a garden club. What spurred them on to embrace cannabis? So please welcome Leslie Wharton and Ted Billett of Gold Coast. Leslie is of the Watertown Garden Club. And Leslie, I want to welcome you to the show and thank you as a member of the cannabis community and somebody who has been advocating for it for years, taking this into the mainstream, into your garden club, and really, kind of thinking outside the box. Really thinking outside the box. And I give you a lot of credit for that. Thank you so much. Tell us what got you spurred on to do this. Oh, you're muted. You got to unmute.
How about now?
Okay, we're good.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah,
All
you're
right.
good.
Well, a couple of members actually suggested this as a fundraiser. And so we started discussing it as a club. And basically, people were split. Some people said, well, we shouldn't get involved in this because they were aware of relatives or patients who abused cannabis. And so they saw the downside of it. And then other people, and I was surprised how many, are actually using it and growing it.
Already?
And yeah, already. Now, what we found that was interesting when we started talking up the having this symposium, we decided to go ahead with it, is that people who were growing it, a lot of them didn't realize it's illegal to grow it outside.
Right.
So they're not aware of the state laws, and they're not aware of what some of the medical pros and cons are. And we decided, well, we think that, it would be helpful to have the kind of event that ordinary people would go to,
Right.
and home growers, people who maybe in some cases are already using cannabis, perhaps gummies. Not everybody smokes it. And they're using it for health reasons. And there were a lot of health reasons that came up, either for specific things that are already listed in the state laws that you can get a medical certificate for.
Right.
Or there are people who have pain issues and they may be prescribed very strong, pain medications that have nasty side effects, but they've found if they use cannabis along with it, they can drastically reduce how much dependency they have on these other pain medications, and they feel a lot better for it.
Right.
And so anyway, so we had a lot of trouble trying to find a venue because, churches don't particularly want
No.
this, especially, and in a lot of cases, when you found a public venue, it was near a school, which is a whole nother issue. You don't want to have this kind of event. So we decided to limit it to over 21, even though, the law says if you're 18, if you have a medical certificate.
The medical card, right.
But in our case, we said if they're coming, you have to show an ID and prove.
Well, that makes sense because you're covering both sides.
Right. So anyway, there was a lot of interest. A lot of people said, this is a great idea. I was actually surprised. I'd go in to bring in bulletins to various places and people said, oh, this is great. But when I said, but we're not selling a lot of tickets, then they said, well, people are probably afraid.
Mm-hmm.
They're worried about the federal law because it's still a Schedule I drug on the federal level. And they're not aware of what kind of protections they might have under state law. And so, and then, of course, given the political climate on the federal level these days, people are kind of nervous. They don't know whether the current protections, or the hands-off attitude that the federal government is taking with regard to, hey, if the users or growers are in accordance with the state law, that federal prosecutors are hands-off. Is that going to continue or is that going to change? That's
the thing.
Yeah. So anyway, we decided to have the event, and we're kind of low on ticket sales at this point, and we're hoping that with the publicity that we might be able to increase that.
I want to encourage everyone to go. I know you have now what the event is, basically, so people know. This is why it's important to go. You have some really good speakers there. You cover 3 different aspects of the industry here. You're covering the legal aspect, the law itself, with Erin Kirk coming in. She's the ombudsman for the state of Connecticut, which means she's supposed to oversee and make sure that the medical program is running properly and servicing patients, which is a very difficult job to do because it's not right now. So you have her coming in to explain the law for people who might be a little bit nervous or have some questions.
And how her department can help you.
Yeah. And then you have Ted, who we're going to get on here in a minute. To talk about the grow aspect, which is what this is all about, the garden club, right?
That's it.
He's going to talk to you about how to grow the legal way, the safest way, the best way to get the most out of your plants, all that, when to start planting. He's going to give them tips and a lot of insight on growing. And then you got Uzma with the medical part, with the wellness aspect of what she does. So I think your speakers that you have cover all 3 very important aspects of the industry. And I commend you for picking those speakers because you did a really good job of that. Those are 3 people that I would personally, if I were to put together this, and I have put together events and all these guys have been on them, would do. So I think it's great. And this is why I want to really let people know that it's a safe atmosphere. It's actually at the Agricultural Center. So it's a pretty cool place. It's the State Agricultural Center for the USDA. They do a lot of stuff up there, research, all kinds of things. So it's a cool place to actually have this event. And
Jones Auditorium. Yeah.
And you're doing a lunch, but you also have the availability of buying a ticket without the lunch.
Well, what happened is we were going to cut off all sales tomorrow because you have to order the lunch. So you have to know how many people are coming in order to order lunches. Because there really isn't any place that you can eat right around there. But then we said, well, maybe people would like to, come and bring their own lunch.
Right.
So we now have a $20 ticket where you can come, you get a row seat, which is a table seat, and you can bring your own lunch. There will be coffee and some light refreshments, but the lunch is only for people who pay for those tickets and pre-register at our website.
So for 50 bucks, and how long does it go? When does it start and when does it end?
Well, the doors open at 9:00. The actual speakers start speaking at 9:30, and then the doors are going to lock at like 5:00. But probably till 4:00, and then there would be time for people maybe to ask questions or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and also
great.
break down and get out of there.
Because it'll be a good setting for people actually to sit down maybe and actually have a one-on-one with Ted or one-on-one with Uzma or one.
Yeah, I think that's the idea as far as that's the idea, right, Joe? Hello, you guys.
Oh yeah, okay. Here we got Ted Dillett.
Let me jump in, right?
The owner, one of the co-owners of Gold Coast Farm and Garden. Now they are a grocery store located in North Branford, and up there on Foxen Road. They have everything you need. And for people who don't know, Ted for years was the manager at HTG. So he knows his grow stuff and he knows the commercial grow market and what people need to be growing at home, because he's been advising people how to grow at home when they weren't allowed to grow at home. So but he's been around a while. Ted's been in this industry a while. He's a great person. Tell us a little bit, first of all, Gold Coast. And then what are you going to be talking about over there at the symposium?
Absolutely. Let me say thank you, Joe, Lou, Leslie, guys. Always an honor to be on here. But yeah, man, Joe always with the great intro. So I've done a lot focused on the home grower, which is really what predominated in all those legacy years, right?
Right.
And in many ways, it was similar to gardening as far as providing the right products, right? It's just the dialogue was sometimes a little covert, a little different. But yeah, in my instance with Gold Coast and my partners, it's now because it is a new era, right? It's a new time as far as people that have assets, people that have a big, beautiful home, and are concerned if they have cannabis plants and they have a lot to lose, right? And that was always something that deterred people from wanting to do it, I feel like. And so that's why I love.
You have a lot of guts.
That's it. And I love that Leslie wants to bring in the educational side with this symposium, because that's always a big thing. We're still new in this space. We are by no means a mature market here in Connecticut as far as the grow side or the cannabis recreational dispensary side. We've just kind of gotten off the ground. So at this point, this is a great time to kind of begin that dialogue. And gardeners are the people that would benefit most, honestly, from the ability to be able to grow outside.
Somebody who's already done it, right?
Yeah. That's it.
Because they have experience. This is why the garden club is perfect.
It's huge, man. Because for my background, I took a strong interest in the early '90s and just growing my own cannabis. It was the only option, early to mid '90s, right? And at this time, it was illicit, but in many ways, it was rather innocent. I have a great story that for me, the garden club in my little town, the woman who ran the garden club in Reading in the 90s, her son, right, and us were very interested in this, and she guided us in many ways with growing. She saw it as innocuous, and, it came out of, a lot of guys that I knew that grew cannabis in the 90s went on to take a strong interest in arborists, as all kinds of other
it led them into actually
in the horticulture
and botany and stuff.
In botany, exactly, Joe. It was really a great kind of entranceway when you saw young people take interest in gardening. It was like, wow, this is unique, So I still see that interest arise in people of all ages, but cannabis does something interesting where, it was always grown in the early part of the 20th century as kind of an ornamental. In France, it was like an interesting thing to have in your garden. People weren't as interested in, it's an intoxicant too. No, there's a lot of stuff in your garden if you put it in. a tea and take interest in that. But beyond, it's an interesting plant. It's a fascinating, weird plant in so many ways. It's dioecious. It has a male and a female. It's all those aspects. So,
The terpenes
people,
on, I mean,
the
for one
terpene
plant to
side,
have the different types of terpenes in it on one single plant, you got a lemon, it's got limonene. You got a
exactly,
pine
dude.
tree, it's got pine. You go to
Yes.
lavender plant, it's got lavender. But you got a cannabis plant, it could have any of them in it.
Which that's it. Like one side of my discussion when I do my piece for them, which I think you actually saw me do some of it in a previous year, Joe. But I do like to talk a little about the history of the plant, a little bit of the botany, because again, if you want to understand a tomato plant, you need to know this was bred over millennia in Central America, or the potato. The history is informative. And so
And
for
the
me,
history of cannabis is very, very interesting.
it is. So like the terps thing for me is like, yes, this is a plant that grew in tropical jungles in Vietnam. It grew on high peaks in Pakistan. We're in the
Caribbean.
age of all this amazing hybridization. That's, to kind of segue, a store like I have allows me to have that dialogue with people about, okay, what kind of seeds to acquire, or if you're interested in clones and those options do exist, what you're looking for, because there's such a myriad at this point of different strains and all that stuff. It gets a little bit confusing, maybe.
Yeah, it's not as cut and dry as it used to be. Like you back in the day, and I'm sure you know this, you had maybe 10 strains you could choose from.
Yeah,
They were all land raised, they were all the originals.
that's it.
But as we know, over the years, those strains died out and they got crossbred to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, see, dude, at this point, it's hard to say. You'll see more interest now in some sativa that would be equatorial, long varieties that would
I
never
love that
finish.
stuff.
That's wonderful, and that's kind of a new side coming back, I would say. That at this point, most cannabis is hybridized, as we were saying.
Well,
But
yeah.
yeah,
I
I mean,
thought, Ted,
going from all that, Joe, you just know I love to talk about cannabis. I love
yeah,
the idea that it's really about cannabis gardeners in general are a really curious group about whether it's mycorrhizal fungi or beneficial bacteria. And
right.
that's where, the Master Gardener program, a lot of guys I know went on to do that with UConn, that were just guys that initially were into cannabis growing. And this is kind of coming from the other side. It's people that know how to grow a lot of different plants, a lot of ornamentals, a lot of annuals. And this gives them a chance to kind of understand this plant a little bit better. And then obviously, with our own budsman and whatnot, get some great information about the legality.
Uzma was supposed to join us, but I haven't seen her join us yet. So we're just going to continue this discussion with us, because there is still a lot to dig into here. One thing about the growing, I wanted to kind of ask you, Ted, if you get a little greenhouse and it is attached to your house, is that considered part of your property, can you be considered growing that indoors?
So, Joe, that is an awesome question. And it's one that I've kind of explored, and I've had a lot of feedback from other people. I'm not the guy necessarily to offer the legal advice, but this is how I usually approach it, right? The law surrounds wanting to contain the plant from minors. I'm a dad. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old. I understand the dynamics of wanting to be able to grow and having little kids around that'll get into anything, right? And it's not even about them. It's right up to the 15-year-old who's like, I'm going to steal these
Yeah, I'm gonna
plants.
steal it, right?
I heard a great joke. I heard a great joke years ago, which was like, if you're a cannabis dad, replace your stash with CBD. Grow only CBD, and they will take it. Whatever. Oh yeah, that's what it. It's benign in our, even legal standpoint of CBD is a wonderful plant. It grows very much the same, has great terpenes. It just doesn't produce THC. So this is even something for, on an aside, if you want to grow cannabis, you don't even have to grow high THC varieties. You can grow varieties that later in their maturity may achieve these higher THC levels that could be illicit. But I know guys, and Louis knows better than me, but CBG and these other ones that you can produce that will pretty much stay low THC towards the later stages. But in this instance, Joe, I've heard it said, that like if you have a contained space attached to the home that is locked, that I think is equivalency to you're growing in your home contained.
Well,
like the great debate.
It can't be visible from the street.
There you go.
Like,
So it would have
you can't be visible from the street.
At the very least, opaque greenhouse attached, with maybe some supplemental lighting in there. But again, that's something that it's a tough stretch, because I think there are a lot of people who want to be able to do some protected growing with sun grown.
Well, that's what
you're getting at.
Get the sun in there.
For sure. Which, that's, I can provide great LED lights. Our company has access to great lights, and in general, it's a good time for indoor horticulture with lighting, with the LEDs being kind of the new development. But it is, the real struggle is that sun grown is a whole separate thing that is more attractive maybe to the gardener too. That it's part of your seasonal thing. So that's why, Leslie, for you, CBD and CBG varieties maybe take some interest, because you're growing cannabis that has strong medicinal value, but doesn't have the side of it that even presents any legal issue. We
got Lou here as a former hemp farmer, right? I want to know, now hemp has been legal here since 2014. I want to know, is there a difference? Is there first of all, home grow hemp law? And is there any restrictions on how much hemp you can grow? Or do you have to have a license to grow any larger amount of hemp? Lou,
So hemp in the state is commercial. So if you, anything that we grow at home, whatever strain it would be, so if we decide to grow a hemp strain, it would still run under the laws of cannabis. So it's at these amount of plants, so it'd be 6 or 12 in budding or unbudding stages. They would treat it exactly as cannabis, even if it was hemp. For large scale hemp production, you just have to get a Department of Agriculture license, which would require a area to be
what they say, a quarter acre?
A quarter acre, and has to be registered with one of the bureaus. So you get your farmer's ID number, and if that space is allocated for that and there's no issues that prevent it, local schools or ordinances or anything like that, you're able to grow outdoor as you would. So
and the license is fairly inexpensive, right?
Department of Agriculture license for hemp cultivation is like $500.
So there's a way you can learn to grow. You can grow hemp outdoors.
Well,
if you have a little quarter acre,
we're looking to focus more on that personal grow. So I like to grow during the summer, and I grow in a greenhouse that's attached to the back of my house. It's just something that I spent. I think the greenhouse, I got it super cheap. It was like $200, small, like hoop house style with a makeshift door that locks. It's behind a fence.
Perfect.
I have an 8-foot fence, so it doesn't really go anyplace else. I like my greenhouse. I use containers. They stay right on the bottom of the floor, so I get the full 8 foot of the little hoop tunnel that I have, because it was a really cheap. So that's the next part of this. You can do this really cost effectively.
Well said.
You have a spot in your yard. I don't use any supplemental lightings. I have a little fan in there, a little dehumidifier, because like I said, it's right next to the house. So I open the little window from the basement, throw my little extension cord into the little space. It's only 10 feet wide, 10 feet long with 4 foot wide. So it's 40 square foot. You know what I mean? It's nothing huge. I get my 6 plants in there. I get 6 gorgeous plants as if I was kind of growing inside, because they have the protection of the little hoop house. This is not something that
ideal, dude.
Yeah, and then, this is where the conversations come, because having an opportunity to even talk about it at a gardening club where they have the knowledge of taking plants that are much more finicky than our cannabis plant.
Good call. Good call.
You know,
Yeah.
orchids, anything. You know, they take way more than what we would have to do in growing something outside. And then we have some product for ourselves. My mother grows and she doesn't consume. She takes the entire plant and turns it into a topical. She washes it in coconut oil and she has her little knee cream that she loves, and that's basically the end of it. And she's like, I like to grow the plant because every time I do something within 2 or 3 weeks, I actually see the outcome of it. So if
Yeah.
I clip a branch here, she sees them double out. If she hits a top, she watches it bubble out.
That's another interesting whole part of
It's
growing
it's a
cannabis.
reactive plant, and it's something that's relaxing because you go through it, and it's hardy. She's like, I thought I killed it, and it just pops right back up without a problem. I'm like, Ma, it's a weed. It'll do its thing.
That's it.
And it
Well,
does.
some people I know, I've heard they actually retrofit indoor closets, put a
Yeah.
lock on it so kids
Yeah, you
can't
can
get in,
convert
a
a closet.
ventilation system, and that's what they're using. A fairly large indoor closet. I don't know about a hoop house, whether that would meet requirements as far as locking it up, if it's just like a plastic hoop house. I think you need sturdier walls,
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably
You
to
sell these
adhere to
little
the state
greenhouses.
requirements.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll get into it with my discussion
Good.
at the
We can talk to
symposium as
Aaron
far
about
as
the actual.
these guys know all like the tents, these tents that are grow tents essentially contained, lined with mylar reflective stuff and relatively efficient small spaces that you could grow in.
Yeah.
To go into the closet,
but certainly
from you guys, I used to come see you and use a student. You know what I mean? This was back in the day when you'd walk into the store and nobody knew each other's names because you used a little pseudonym or a plant name, or
of course, man.
talking about tomatoes and cucumbers and
Broccoli.
this is going to be the largest broccoli tree you will ever see.
No joke. Yeah, this guy bought a whole bunch of phosphorus, man. This guy's really got some huge tomato plants or whatever, I mean,
And you're buying little fans. And I used to take the closet, it's like a walk-in closet, and instead of doing the tent, I'd line the whole thing with planted paper, white mylar sheets
dude, that was the preferred method. Tents definitely kind of took over, but prior to that, as you mentioned, Leslie, was kind of modifying a space, creating an environment that was like, I mean, you'd have guys like, and people back in the day, it's colder in there, it's more uncomfortable in the living space than it is where they built this room.
Yeah. You notice the entire house is really chilly because there's one part of the house that's kind of heating the rest of the house.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, some ducting coming out, and
Well, I don't.
So
I
in general,
think
now
I think we probably want to. I think part of listening to how it can be grown is you make a decision whether you want to grow it yourself or not.
Right,
Some
yes.
people may want to grow it. Other people say, now that I've heard all of this, I think I'm just going to try to buy a good product. And I think some of what this symposium will do, even by discussing how you grow a good product, is what you want your commercial growers to do to give you a good product.
Right.
Because you're educating yourself as to all the things that go into growing a high quality product. And
definitely the case.
I want to ask you a question. Are there other garden clubs that you may have contacted or been in contact with who might be thinking of doing? I'm wondering if you can get a little coalition together of the garden clubs and maybe invite them out to this symposium, because if your garden club out in Watertown has interest in cannabis, I got to think that other towns, maybe even some of the bigger ones, might have the same interest. And I know most towns have a garden club.
We have gotten a lot of interested emails from people, and there are some people who from other garden clubs have bought tickets.
Okay.
We had brochures at the Connecticut Flower Show in Hartford, and they all disappeared. And we got some people who registered but didn't actually buy tickets. And I contacted them, and a couple of people said, "Oh, thank you for reminding me, and they went ahead and bought a ticket. I think there's probably, maybe it was the cost of the tickets. We've come down in price a little bit. It could be that some people might find it hard to get to New Haven, depending on where they are, because it can be a bit of a, even we're in Litchfield County. So it's a bit of a hike.
But it is right. It's very accessible to the highway. So
yeah.
but I
there is
understand
interest.
that. It's also because you're kind of promoting outside the industry. So it's important that the people within the industry, you get support from them as well, which is why we're having you on the show, to know that these are people from the community who are out there educating people who are not necessarily involved in cannabis, but are very interested in it. And that is a very important audience. And for those of you who are already involved in the community and are maybe even activists and advocates, I think this place would be a great place for you to get out there and actually be able to speak to some people who are really out there in the mainstream community who are not involved in cannabis, and maybe help to show them what the laws are about and get some one-on-one time with some normal people, for lack of a better word, like people who are out there just living a normal life, but they like to grow as a hobby. And I think these people are very important to bring them in to the fold, to let them know that, all these laws and things that we talk about affect them as well. They will affect them as well. And so I really encourage the people within the cannabis community to come out and support this event. It is definitely worth the time and the money to show your support so that we can have more of the events, so that other garden clubs and maybe other mainstream organizations will see, oh, okay, maybe we can do something with cannabis. So I think it's important that the community come out and support this event. What are you having on the menu for the meal if they so choose?
It's probably going to be a sandwich platter from BJ's, that kind of thing.
Okay.
We're not going to get anything. It's not a huge involved lunch. It's a light lunch.
Light lunch.
I think you need to also, because I didn't notice that your website is publishing the URL to get to the store where people can find out about the event and buy tickets.
Right. So, yeah. What is the URL? How can they reach you over social media?
Yeah, I sent it to you once, but I can send it to you again. But I know the little write-up that you had, if you could put it, if you could add that to your.
What is the website? Watertown Garden Club?
It's www.watertowngardenclub.org.
And there's a Facebook event as well that you can order tickets through on
No,
Facebook.
It's on a Facebook. You go to that watertowngardenclub.org. And then you click on, the cannabis symposium, and then say you're over 21, and that'll give you a description and then from there you can get into the store, because we had to have a secure website for the store. You can't.
You have to, yeah.
Yeah. So,
so there are tickets available. You have 3 levels, right? You have a $20 level for just the symposium. You have a $30 level.
That's for a chair seat, and you get a lunch.
And a lunch, you got to sit.
And then there's a $40 level, which gives you a seat at a table, which a lot of people will want if they want to take notes and stuff like that. And that includes a lunch.
And the $20 one, you get to sit at a table too, right?
No.
Okay.
No, that's just a chair seat.
If you want just a chair seat, it's $20. You get the whole day. It goes from like 9:30 to 4 o'clock.
Bring your own lunch, because there really isn't any place to go out.
Right.
We don't really have time to
go
out and
get. It's kind of set back, but it's a very nice place. I think even just to go up there and, like you say, tour around and look what else they got going on, it's worth it for $20. For me, that is a small price to pay, not only to get some good education, meet some people, do some networking, but also to support an organization that has taken a bold step within their community to embrace cannabis. I think it's important that we support these organizations because it will encourage other organizations to do the same. And that's what we want. We want as many people who are using cannabis to learn how to grow it, to learn the laws, to be able to work within the laws, and also learn how to use it for their own healing. And you got all this wrapped up in one. So I think it's great. Ted, how can they reach you on social media?
Best way to reach us is either through the Instagram, which is Gold Coast Grow. You just do the @ symbol at the beginning. Or, of course, our email, ctstore@goldcoastgrow.com. And then we do have the website, goldcoastgrow.com.
What's the exact address up there in North Branford?
And it is 2019 Foxen Road, North Branford, right?
North
And so
Branford.
it's a fast road. People blow on by, but it's definitely we're getting noticed at this point, and I'm really excited for the spring because no matter how you cut it, seasonality wise, everyone gets the bug to garden in the spring. That really seems to be the case. So very excited, dude.
And Leslie, do you have a social media, Instagram, Facebook they can follow?
Not really. The Watertown Garden Club org has a lot of our activities. I've got the actual website
Okay.
that they can go to. It's http:// Garden Club, all one word, .org / current_activities.
Okay.
And from there, you can click on the Cannabis Symposium, read about what it is, and then from there get into the store and decide on tickets.
And I will share that throughout the week on our social media, and hopefully I know Ted will too. Let's get out there, support the community, support the Watertown Garden Club. Let's get out there and really show people that we can, have a great event and spread the word about cannabis.
Yeah.
That it's not just the community, it's not just the activists and the advocates, it's regular, everyday, average people who you wouldn't even think would be involved in cannabis. So I think it's great.
I think everybody's in cannabis these
That's
days.
what I'm saying. We
Just
all got to realize that we're all in this together and that it's not easy to do business or to even be a cannabis user in this state in some cases, as we discussed earlier about these new laws.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's important that we all stay informed and stay involved and get out there and support what's going on in the community. With that, we have to sign off, but I really appreciate you guys coming on. The symposium is this Saturday.
Yep.
From 9:30 to 4 or 5
9 o'clock,
p.m. It's at the
9 o'clock the doors open. Could you leave some time to register?
Yeah, you need a little time, so come around 9 or so. You have a great day. I will be there. I have made the commitment. I bought my ticket, so you want to hang out with me, we'll have a good time.
Joe, have some promo stuff for him, Notalis.
All those little discounts for you.
Discounts for everybody who
Yeah.
loves, he'll have that card. Bear with him, so I appreciate that, Joe.
I have some.
Yeah, we're gonna make it work, and as we want to continue supporting all the local folk doing the things that they're doing,
Awesome.
from us, I just want everybody to stay happy, healthy, and high, my friends.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Harry,
Thank you
hit
for
that
having me.
music. We'll see you at the symposium this weekend. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you so
Thank you.
much, Ted.
Thank you,
Have a
guys.
great day. Harry, hit
Thanks,
that
Leslie.
music. We love you. Like, share, subscribe at Greenhaven Media. You can follow me at Joe the Weedy Guy or go to greenhavenmedia.com or our YouTube page. Check us out. I'm not hearing the music, so I think we're just going to sign off and say goodbye. All right. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
Peace.